Every breath you take right now shares the air with billions of invisible spores. Spores from organisms that aren't plants, aren't animals, but belong to an entirely separate kingdom of life that's been on Earth for over 1 billion years. Mushrooms, the visible fruiting bodies of vast underground networks, represent just a tiny fraction of the fungal world surrounding you. Right now, beneath your feet, fungal networks stretch for miles, some of them thousands of years old, connecting trees, transferring nutrients, communicating through chemical signals in ways we're only beginning to understand. And what you're about to discover is that mushrooms are far stranger, far more essential, and far more mysterious than anything you learned in school. If you're new here, welcome. This is the Sleepy Facts channel, a space where curiosity meets calm, where knowledge becomes a gentle companion as you drift toward rest. We explore the world's most fascinating subjects in a way that engages your mind while soothing your thoughts. Perfect for those quiet hours when you want to learn something profound without the noise and urgency of the everyday world. If you find value in these journeys, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe and turn on notifications. It helps us continue creating these long-form explorations, and it means you'll never miss another deep dive into the subjects that make our universe so endlessly intriguing. Tonight, we're entering the hidden world of mushrooms and fungi. Not the culinary variety you find in grocery stores, though we'll touch on those, but the vast, largely invisible kingdom that shapes ecosystems, recycles death into life, and operates through mechanisms so different from plants and animals that scientists are still unraveling how they work. As you settle in and listen, let yourself be carried into this exploration of organisms that challenge our understanding of what life can be. The word mushroom technically refers only to the fruiting body, the visible part that emerges from the ground or grows on trees. The actual organism is mostly underground or within the material it's growing on, consisting of a network of thread-like structures called mycelium. Think of the mushroom as the apple and the mycelium as the entire tree. The vast majority of a fungal organism remains hidden, spreading through soil or wood or whatever substrate it inhabits, sometimes covering acres of ground. What we see and pick is just the reproductive structure, emerging temporarily to release spores, then decomposing back into the earth. Fungi are more closely related to animals than to plants. This surprising fact emerged from genetic studies in the late 20th century. Like animals, fungi cannot produce their own food through photosynthesis. Instead, they secrete enzymes that break down organic matter externally, then absorb the resulting nutrients. They store energy as glycogen, the same molecule animals use, rather than as starch like plants. Their cell walls contain chitin, the same substance that forms insect exoskeletons and shrimp shells. This relationship means that humans and mushrooms share a common ancestor more recently than either shares with plants. We're distant cousins, branches from the same ancient tree of life. The largest living organism on Earth is not a whale or a giant sequoia. It's a fungus. In Oregon's Blue Mountains, a honey fungus, Armillaria ostoyae, covers approximately 2,385 acres, making it larger than 1,600 football fields. This single organism is estimated to be between 2,400 and 8,650 years old, growing slowly beneath the forest floor, occasionally sending up mushrooms but mostly existing as an invisible network of mycelium, spreading through the soil and attacking tree roots. The entire organism is genetically identical, one individual stretching across square miles of forest, quietly consuming and recycling organic matter, ancient beyond human comprehension. Mushrooms communicate, not in the way animals do, but through chemical signals transmitted through their mycelial networks. When one part of a fungal network encounters a food source or a threat, that information can be transmitted through the network, causing distant parts of the organism to respond. Research has shown that mycelial networks can even transmit information between different plants connected to the same network, allowing trees to send warning signals about pest infestations or to share nutrients with struggling neighbors. This wood wide web, as it's been called, represents a form of communication and cooperation happening constantly beneath our feet. Invisible, but essential to forest health. The study of fungi is called mycology, and it's a relatively young science. Fungi were classified as plants until the 1960s, and many aspects of their biology remain poorly understood. It's estimated that only about 10% of fungal species have been formally identified and described, meaning there could be as many as 5 million fungal species on Earth, the vast majority still unknown to science. New species are discovered regularly, from deep ocean vents to Antarctic ice, to the surfaces of leaves in tropical rainforests. The fungal kingdom is enormous, diverse, and largely unexplored. Some mushrooms are bioluminescent, producing their own light through chemical reactions. These glowing mushrooms, found in forests around the world, emit an eerie green luminescence. Over 70 species of bioluminescent fungi are known, with names like ghost fungus and jack-o'-lantern mushroom. The evolutionary purpose of this bioluminescence isn't entirely clear. One theory suggests the light attracts insects that help disperse spores, while another proposes it's a byproduct of metabolic processes with no specific function. Walking through a dark forest where these mushrooms grow can feel otherworldly, as if the forest floor itself is glowing. A reminder that nature contains magic that needs no supernatural explanation. The relationship between fungi and plants is ancient and essential. Mycorrhizal associations, where fungal mycelium connects with plant roots in mutually beneficial relationships, are found in about 90% of plant species. The fungus receives sugars from the plant's photosynthesis, while the plant receives enhanced access to water and nutrients, particularly phosphorus and nitrogen, that the fungal network can access from a much larger volume of soil than roots alone could reach. This relationship is so fundamental that many plants cannot survive without their fungal partners. When we plant gardens or restore forests, we're not just planting plants. We're planting ecosystems that require fungal networks to function. And this connects to something profound. The colonization of land by plants, about 450 million years ago, was likely only possible because of fungi. Early plants had no true roots, and the soils were poor in nutrients. Mycorrhizal fungi provided the bridge, allowing plants to access nutrients they couldn't reach alone. In return, plants provided sugars to the fungi. This partnership enabled the greening of Earth, the transformation of barren rock into ecosystems, the foundation for all terrestrial life that followed. Without fungi, land plants might never have succeeded, and terrestrial ecosystems as we know them, including humans, might never have evolved. Mushrooms have been used by humans for thousands of years, not just as food but as medicine, as spiritual sacraments, as tools for fire starting, as dyes for fabric, as materials for clothing. The Iceman, a 5,300-year-old mummy found in the Alps, carried two types of fungi, one likely for medicinal purposes, the other for starting fires. Ancient cultures worldwide developed deep knowledge of fungi, learning which were nutritious, which were poisonous, which had medicinal properties, which could induce visions. This traditional knowledge, accumulated over millennia, is now being examined by modern science, which is confirming many traditional uses and discovering new applications. The decomposition performed by fungi is essential to life on Earth. without fungi breaking down dead organic matter, fallen trees, dead animals, leaf litter. These materials would accumulate, locking up nutrients and carbon. Forests would choke on their own debris. Fungi are nature's recyclers, using their enzymes to break down complex molecules that few other organisms can digest, including lignin and cellulose in wood. They release the nutrients back into the soil, making them available for new growth. Death becomes life through fungal action, a process so fundamental that terrestrial ecosystems would collapse without it. Some fungi are parasites, attacking living organisms. Athlete's foot, ringworm, and thrush are all fungal infections. Plant diseases like Dutch elm disease and chestnut blight are caused by fungi and have devastated tree populations. The fungus that causes white nose syndrome has killed millions of bats in North America. But many fungi have complex life cycles involving both parasitic and beneficial phases, or relationships that fall somewhere between parasitism and mutualism. The boundary between helpful and harmful isn't always clear in the fungal world. Psilocybin mushrooms, containing the psychoactive compound psilocybin, have been used in religious and healing ceremonies for thousands of years, particularly in Mesoamerican cultures. Modern research is rediscovering these mushrooms' potential therapeutic benefits, with studies showing promise for treating depression, anxiety, PTSD, and addiction. The effects of psilocybin on consciousness, profound alterations in perception, temporary ego dissolution, mystical experiences, are being studied to understand both how consciousness works and how these experiences might contribute to psychological healing. What ancient cultures knew intuitively, modern neuroscience is beginning to understand mechanistically. The shapes mushrooms take are extraordinarily diverse. Delicate umbrellas, coral-like branches, shelves protruding from trees, spherical puffballs, cups, fingers, stars. This diversity reflects different strategies for spore dispersal. Some mushrooms lift their spore-bearing surfaces high into the air where wind can catch spores. Others rely on rain splash to distribute spores. Puffballs release clouds of spores when disturbed. Stinkhorns produce foul-smelling slime that attracts insects, which carry spores away on their bodies. Each shape represents an evolutionary solution to the problem of how to spread microscopic spores across the landscape. Spores themselves are remarkable structures, microscopic, capable of surviving extreme conditions, and produced in staggering numbers. A single large puffball mushroom can produce trillions of spores. Most will never germinate, landing in unsuitable locations or being eaten by microorganisms. But producing such vast numbers ensures that some will find appropriate conditions, the right temperature, moisture, substrate, to germinate and begin a new fungal colony. Spores can remain dormant for years, even decades, waiting for conditions to become favorable. The colors of mushrooms span the entire spectrum: brilliant reds, deep purples, bright oranges, pure whites, midnight blacks, iridescent blues. These colors come from various pigments that serve different purposes. Some attract animals that help disperse spores. Some protect against UV radiation or desiccation. Some are warning colors, signaling toxicity to potential predators. The visual diversity of mushrooms can make a single forest seem like it contains specimens from dozens of different worlds. Each one a small sculpture shaped by evolutionary pressures into its particular form. Fairy rings, those circular patterns of mushrooms that appear in lawns and meadows, have inspired folklore for centuries. Various cultures believed they marked places where fairies danced, where lightning struck, where witches gathered. The reality is more subtle but equally fascinating. Fairy rings form when a fungal mycelium spreads outward from a central point in all directions, forming an expanding circle. The mushrooms appear at the outer edge where the mycelium is most actively growing. Some fairy rings are centuries old, expanding outward at a slow but steady rate, year after year, marking the progress of fungal growth through the landscape. Mushrooms can break down some of the most persistent pollutants humans have created. Certain fungi can degrade petroleum products, pesticides, plastics, and even radioactive materials. This process, called mycoremediation, is being explored as a tool for environmental cleanup. After the Fukushima nuclear disaster, researchers found fungi growing in the contaminated zone that had accumulated radioactive cesium. Studies have shown that certain mushroom species can break down cigarette butts, degrade nerve agents, and decompose plastic in weeks rather than the centuries it would normally take. Fungi's powerful enzymes, evolved to break down tough organic molecules in nature, can be directed toward breaking down human-made pollutants. The fly agaric mushroom, with its iconic red cap dotted with white spots, is perhaps the most recognizable mushroom in the world, appearing in everything from fairy tales to video games. This mushroom contains psychoactive compounds and has been used in Siberian shamanic practices. Some scholars have suggested that fly agaric use influenced cultural practices, folklore, and even religious imagery. The mushroom's association with Christmas, its red and white coloring, its growth under pine and birch trees, its connection to reindeer who seek it out, has led to speculation about its influence on Santa Claus mythology. Whether these connections are historical fact or creative interpretation remains debated, but they illustrate how deeply mushrooms have penetrated human culture. Truffles, those expensive underground fungi prized in haute cuisine, are the fruiting bodies of mycorrhizal fungi that have evolved to fruit underground rather than above. They rely on animals, particularly wild boars and certain rodents, to dig them up and eat them, dispersing spores through their droppings. Truffle hunting traditionally used pigs, whose keen sense of smell could detect truffles underground, though dogs are now more commonly used because they're easier to control and don't eat the truffles. The most expensive truffles sell for thousands of dollars per pound, making them among the world's most valuable fungi, all because of their unique aroma and flavor that have captivated human palates. The button mushroom you buy in grocery stores, white mushrooms, cremini, and portobello, are all the same species, Agaricus bisporus, just harvested at different stages of maturity. White mushrooms are the youngest, cremini are middle-aged, and portobello are fully mature with their caps opened. This single species represents the vast majority of mushrooms cultivated commercially in the Western world, a tiny fraction of the thousands of edible mushroom species that exist. Cultivation of other species is expanding, but it remains true that most people's experience with mushrooms is limited to a few commercially grown varieties, leaving the diversity of wild mushrooms largely unknown. Mushroom cultivation began over 1,000 years ago, with different cultures developing methods for different species. The Chinese cultivated shiitake and wood ear mushrooms on logs, while Europeans developed methods for growing button mushrooms on composted manure. The techniques vary dramatically by species. Some mushrooms can only be grown in partnership with specific trees. Some require particular temperature and humidity cycles. Some need specific substrates. Even today, many prized edible mushrooms, like morels and chanterelles, resist cultivation, requiring wild foraging to harvest. The science of identifying mushrooms, a practice essential for safe foraging, requires attention to numerous features: cap shape and color, gill or pore structure, spore print color, stem characteristics, smell, habitat, and more. Even experienced mycologists can be challenged by identification, particularly because mushroom appearance can vary significantly based on age, weather, and growing conditions. Some poisonous mushrooms closely resemble edible ones, and the consequences of misidentification can be severe. The deathcap mushroom, Amanita phalloides, is responsible for the majority of fatal mushroom poisonings worldwide and can be confused with several edible species by inexperienced foragers. Mushroom poisoning symptoms vary dramatically depending on the species consumed. Some mushrooms cause gastrointestinal distress that passes within hours. Others contain toxins that destroy the liver and kidneys over days, often after an initial recovery period that gives false hope. The deathcap's amatoxins prevent cells from producing proteins, leading to organ failure. There's no antidote. Treatment is supportive, hoping the body can survive while eliminating the toxin. One mushroom can contain enough toxin to kill an adult, and because symptoms appear hours or days after consumption, people often don't connect their illness to mushroom consumption until it's too late for effective intervention. Yet mushrooms have also saved countless lives through their medicinal properties. Penicillin, the first widely used antibiotic, is produced by a fungus, Penicillium, discovered by Alexander Fleming in 1928. This accidental discovery, Fleming noticed that a mold contaminating a bacterial culture plate had killed the bacteria around it, revolutionized medicine, and has saved hundreds of millions of lives. Other fungi produce immunosuppressant drugs used in organ transplants, cholesterol-lowering statins, and various other pharmaceuticals. The chemical compounds fungi produce to defend themselves against bacteria and other threats have become tools in human medicine. Traditional Chinese medicine has used medicinal mushrooms for thousands of years. Reishi, known as the mushroom of immortality, has been used to promote longevity and overall health. Turkey tail mushrooms have been used to boost immune function. Cordyceps, a parasitic fungus that grows on insect larvae, has been prized for energy and vitality. Modern research is investigating these traditional uses, finding that many medicinal mushrooms contain polysaccharides and other compounds that do affect immune function and have anti-cancer properties in laboratory studies. Whether these laboratory effects translate to clinical benefits in humans remains under investigation. But the research validates that these fungi produce biologically active compounds. The oyster mushroom, a common edible species, is carnivorous. While it primarily obtains nutrients from decomposing wood, it can also trap and consume nematodes, microscopic worms, using specialized structures. The mycelium produces compounds that paralyze nematodes, then penetrates their bodies and digests them, supplementing the mushroom's nitrogen intake. This surprising behavior blurs the line between decomposer and predator, showing that fungi have evolved diverse strategies for obtaining nutrients. Oyster mushrooms aren't the only carnivorous fungi. Dozens of species have developed various mechanisms for trapping and consuming microscopic animals. Mushrooms appear suddenly, seemingly overnight, leading to folklore about spontaneous generation and magical properties. The reality is that the mycelium has been growing underground for weeks or months, accumulating nutrients and waiting for the right conditions, usually a combination of moisture, temperature, and seasonal timing. When conditions align, the mushroom can emerge rapidly, sometimes growing several inches in a day. This rapid growth is possible because the structure is already formed in miniature underground. Emergence is more like inflating a balloon than building from scratch. The mushroom absorbs water, cells expand, and what was hidden becomes visible in a matter of hours. The life cycle of mushrooms involves both sexual and asexual reproduction, but in ways quite different from plants or animals. Mushroom spores germinate into haploid mycelium, containing only one copy of each chromosome, like sperm or egg cells. Two compatible mycelia must meet and fuse, creating a dikaryotic mycelium with two nuclei per cell, one from each parent. This dikaryotic mycelium is the main life stage, growing and spreading for years or decades. Only when it produces mushrooms do the nuclei finally fuse, forming diploid cells that immediately undergo meiosis to produce haploid spores, completing the cycle. Fungi spend most of their lives with 2 nuclei in each cell, a condition almost unique to the fungal kingdom. Some mushrooms form symbiotic relationships with specific tree species. Chanterelles associate primarily with conifers and oaks. Matsutake mushrooms grow only in association with certain pine species. This specificity means these mushrooms can only be found where their host trees grow, limiting their distribution and making cultivation difficult. The mushrooms and trees have co-evolved over millions of years, developing chemical signaling systems that allow them to recognize and connect with each other. Understanding these relationships requires understanding both organisms and the complex interactions between them. Mushroom spores are dispersed by various mechanisms, each adapted to particular environments. Wind carries spores from mushrooms that grow on exposed surfaces. Rain splash disperses spores from mushrooms in sheltered locations. Animals carry spores that stick to fur or feathers. Some mushrooms produce sweet-smelling compounds that attract insects, which then carry spores on their bodies. Underground fungi like truffles rely entirely on animals digging them up and consuming them, dispersing spores through feces. Each strategy represents an evolutionary solution to the challenge of getting microscopic spores to suitable germination sites. The oldest fungal fossils date back about 450 million years, but molecular evidence suggests fungi may be over 1 billion years old. These ancient fungi witnessed the greening of continents, the rise and fall of dinosaurs, the evolution of flowering plants, the emergence of mammals. Throughout this immense time span, fungi have adapted to countless niches, diversifying into the enormous kingdom we see today. Some fungal lineages are older than the split between plants and animals, making fungi not just successful, but enduring, having survived mass extinctions that eliminated the majority of other life forms. Mushrooms have inspired artists, writers, and thinkers throughout history. Lewis Carroll's Alice encounters a mushroom-dwelling caterpillar who instructs her about eating mushroom to change size, possibly inspired by the consciousness-altering properties of certain fungi. The Smurfs live in mushroom houses. Entire fantasy worlds feature mushrooms as architecture, food, medicine, and magic. This cultural fascination reflects both mushrooms' visual appeal, their diverse forms and colors, and their mysterious qualities, appearing suddenly, possessing strange properties, existing on the boundary between life and decay. The matsutake mushroom, prized in Japanese cuisine, has become the subject of anthropological and economic study. Anthropologist Anna Zing's book, The Mushroom at the End of the World, examines how matsutake harvesting creates global supply chains connecting Japanese consumers with foragers in Oregon, China, and Finland. The mushroom grows in disturbed forests, thriving in environments that have been logged or damaged, making it a symbol of resilience and adaptation. Its high price, sometimes hundreds of dollars per pound, creates economic opportunities for marginalized communities, but also drives competition and conflict among foragers. Fungi play crucial roles in food production beyond mushrooms themselves. Yeasts, single-celled fungi, ferment grains into beer, grapes into wine, and dough into bread. Without yeast, human cuisine would be dramatically different. Other fungi create distinctive cheeses. The blue veins in Roquefort and Gorgonzola are fungal colonies deliberately introduced. Soy sauce and miso are fermented using fungal cultures. The koji mold is essential to sake production. Fungi have been partners in human food production for thousands of years, transforming basic ingredients into products with enhanced flavor, preservation, and sometimes nutritional value. The relationship between fungi and insects extends beyond simple spore dispersal. Leafcutter ants cultivate fungi as their primary food source, cutting leaves not to eat them, but to feed to their fungal gardens. The ants tend these gardens carefully, removing contaminating fungi, providing optimal conditions, and harvesting the fungus to feed their colony. This agriculture evolved tens of millions of years ago, making ants farmers long before humans. The relationship is obligate. The ants cannot survive without their fungus, and the domesticated fungus species cannot survive without the ants. It's a partnership refined over evolutionary time into almost perfect integration. Cordyceps fungi, which parasitize insects, have evolved horrifying sophistication. Some species infect ants, manipulating their behavior through compounds that affect the nervous system. Infected ants leave their colonies, climb vegetation, and bite down on a leaf or twig in a location optimal for fungal growth. The ant dies in this position, and the fungus grows through its body, eventually producing a fruiting body that emerges from the ant's head and releases spores to infect other ants. This zombie ant phenomenon demonstrates that fungi can manipulate animal behavior with chemical precision, raising profound questions about the nature of behavior and control. The colors produced by mushrooms have been used as dyes for fabric for centuries. Different species produce different colors. Some yield yellows and oranges, others greens and blues, still others browns and purples. These natural dyes can be color-fast and beautiful, and there's renewed interest in mushroom dyes as alternatives to synthetic dyes that can be environmentally harmful. The same compounds that color mushrooms, protecting them from UV radiation or signaling toxicity, can color wool and silk, connecting human craft to fungal biochemistry. Mushrooms can be extraordinarily old. While the fruiting bodies are ephemeral, lasting days to weeks, the mycelial networks can persist for centuries or millennia. The armillaria fungus we mentioned earlier may be thousands of years old, but even smaller fungal individuals can persist for decades or centuries, growing slowly, responding to environmental changes, maintaining themselves beneath our notice. These organisms experience time on a different scale than animals, their lives unfolding in slow motion by our standards, yet continuous and responsive to their environments. The economic value of wild mushrooms drives both sustainable harvesting and environmental concern. In the Pacific Northwest, mushroom harvesting provides income for thousands of people, with millions of pounds harvested annually. But questions arise about sustainability. Are mushrooms being over-harvested? Does picking mushrooms harm the mycelial networks? Research suggests that careful harvesting, picking mushrooms without disturbing the substrate, leaving some to release spores, is sustainable, as the mycelium remains intact underground. But improper harvesting techniques, habitat destruction, and climate change all threaten wild mushroom populations. Climate change is affecting fungal distributions and fruiting patterns. As temperatures shift, as rainfall patterns change, as seasons become less predictable, fungi respond. Some species are fruiting earlier in the year. Some are shifting their geographic ranges. Some are declining as their habitats change. Because fungi are so intimately connected to plant communities through mycorrhizal relationships, changes in fungal populations can cascade through ecosystems, affecting plant health and survival. Understanding these changes is crucial for conservation, but it's complicated by how little we know about fungal ecology in the first place. The study of fungal genetics has revealed surprising complexity. Some fungi have mating systems with thousands of different mating types, far beyond the male-female binary of animals. Two individuals can mate only if they have compatible but different mating types, ensuring genetic diversity. This elaborate system prevents self-fertilization and promotes genetic mixing across populations. The genetic mechanisms underlying these mating systems involve multiple genes and complex regulatory networks, demonstrating that fungi have evolved sophisticated systems for managing reproduction and genetic diversity. Bioluminescent mushrooms glow brightest during spore release, supporting the hypothesis that the light attracts insects that help disperse spores. The chemical mechanism involves luciferin molecules reacting with oxygen in the presence of an enzyme, releasing energy as light. This same basic mechanism appears in fireflies, certain marine organisms, and bioluminescent bacteria, representing convergent evolution. Different lineages independently evolving similar solutions to similar challenges. The forests where these mushrooms grow can glow with an eerie green light on dark nights, a natural phenomenon that seems almost magical. Mushroom foraging requires knowledge, caution, and respect for ecosystems. Experienced foragers develop deep familiarity with the mushrooms in their regions, learning where and when different species appear, how to identify them with certainty, how to harvest sustainably. This knowledge is often passed down through generations, or learned through years of study and careful observation. Foraging connects people to landscapes, seasons, and ecological relationships, fostering awareness of the natural world. But it carries risks. Misidentification can be fatal, and even experienced foragers occasionally make mistakes. The rule of thumb is simple. If you're not absolutely certain of identification, don't eat it. The texture of mushrooms varies as dramatically as their appearance. Some are firm and meaty, dense enough to serve as meat substitutes in cooking. Others are delicate and fragile, dissolving almost instantly when cooked. Some are gelatinous, like the wood ear mushrooms used in Asian cuisine. Others are woody and tough, inedible despite not being poisonous. This textural diversity reflects the different structural materials fungi use. Combinations of chitin, proteins, and polysaccharides, arranged in various ways to create different mechanical properties. The texture we experience when eating mushrooms is the physical manifestation of fungal cell wall architecture and water content. Morel mushrooms, with their distinctive honeycomb-like caps, are among the most prized wild edibles. They appear briefly in spring, often in areas that have been burned the previous year. Though the relationship between fire and morel fruiting isn't fully understood. Morels have resisted commercial cultivation using traditional methods, though recent breakthroughs have made limited cultivation possible. This has kept morels primarily a wild foraged mushroom, and their brief season and distinctive flavor make them highly sought after. Experienced morel hunters guard their harvesting locations carefully, returning to the same spots year after year when conditions are right. The relationship between mushrooms and trees goes beyond simple nutrient exchange. Research has shown that through mycorrhizal networks, mature trees can support younger trees, transferring carbon and nutrients to saplings growing in deep shade, where photosynthesis is difficult. This parental care, facilitated by fungal networks, challenges our understanding of forests as collections of competing individuals, suggesting instead that forests function more like superorganisms, where individuals cooperate through fungal intermediaries. The fungi benefit from this arrangement by maintaining healthy tree partners, creating a three-way relationship that enhances the entire forest ecosystem's resilience. Mushrooms contain unique nutritional compounds not found in plants or animals. Some are excellent sources of vitamin D, particularly when exposed to sunlight or UV light, which converts ergosterol in the mushroom into vitamin D2. This makes mushrooms the only non-animal source of vitamin D naturally available in food. They also contain various B vitamins, minerals like selenium and potassium, and bioactive compounds with potential health benefits. While not as nutrient-dense as many vegetables, mushrooms offer unique nutritional contributions, and their umami flavor can enhance the palatability of healthy diets. The umami taste, the savory fifth taste beyond sweet, sour, salty, and bitter, is particularly strong in mushrooms due to their glutamate content. This flavor compound is what makes mushrooms satisfying in ways that complement other foods. Dried mushrooms concentrate these flavors, creating intense umami that can enhance broths, sauces, and dishes. The Japanese developed dashi, a fundamental stock using kombu seaweed and bonito flakes, but mushrooms provide similar umami depth. Understanding that mushrooms provide this flavor dimension helps explain their role in cuisines worldwide. Some mushrooms can accumulate heavy metals from their environment, concentrating lead, cadmium, mercury, and other toxic elements. This makes mushrooms growing in contaminated areas potentially dangerous to eat, even if they're normally edible species. The same property that makes mushrooms useful for bioremediation makes them potential health hazards in polluted environments. Foragers need to consider not just species identification, but also the environmental history of harvesting locations. Mushrooms from roadsides, industrial areas, or contaminated sites should be avoided, even if properly identified. The matsutake mushroom's growing conditions. In poor, sandy soils and forests stressed by human activity, make it a symbol of resilience in degraded landscapes. While we often think of conservation as preserving pristine wilderness, matsutake shows that valuable species can thrive in damaged areas, creating opportunities in landscapes most people have written off. This challenges simplistic narratives about environmental decline and suggests that adaptation and resilience can emerge in unexpected places. The matsutake story is neither purely optimistic nor pessimistic, but somewhere between, reflecting the complex realities of life in the Anthropocene. Lichens, which often appear as crusty growth on rocks and trees, are not single organisms, but symbiotic partnerships between fungi and algae or cyanobacteria. The fungus provides structure and protection, while the photosynthetic partner provides food through photosynthesis. Some lichens are three-way partnerships involving yeast as well. Lichens can survive extreme conditions, drought, cold, radiation, that would kill most organisms, and they're found from tropical rainforests to Antarctic rocks. They grow extremely slowly, sometimes less than a millimeter per year, meaning some lichen colonies visible on rocks are centuries old, silent witnesses to slow time. The fungal kingdom's role in the carbon cycle is fundamental to understanding global climate. Fungi decompose dead organic matter, releasing carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. But they also move carbon into soil in stable forms, contributing to soil carbon sequestration. The balance between these processes affects how much carbon accumulates in soils versus being released to the atmosphere. As climate changes, as temperatures rise and precipitation patterns shift, fungal activity changes, potentially accelerating or slowing carbon cycling in ways that could feed back into climate change. Understanding fungal ecology isn't just academically interesting, it's crucial for predicting Earth's climate future. Mushrooms have been proposed as building materials, and research into fungal-based materials is expanding. Mycelium can be grown on agricultural waste, forming lightweight, strong materials that could replace plastics or foams in packaging and construction. Companies are developing mycelium-based leather alternatives, insulation materials, and even furniture. These materials are biodegradable, potentially carbon negative, and can be grown in days rather than harvested from slow-growing resources. Whether fungal materials can scale to replace significant amounts of conventional materials remains uncertain, but the concept demonstrates fungi's potential beyond food and medicine. The relationship between fungi and disease extends to human fungal infections, which range from minor nuisances to life-threatening conditions. Fungal infections are increasingly problematic in immunocompromised patients, those with HIV, cancer, or taking immunosuppressant drugs. Some fungi that were once harmless environmental organisms are becoming opportunistic pathogens as more people have compromised immune systems. Additionally, fungi are evolving resistance to antifungal drugs, similar to bacterial antibiotic resistance. The rise of drug-resistant Candida auris in hospitals worldwide demonstrates that fungal diseases pose emerging public health challenges. Mushrooms in art history appear in medieval manuscripts, Renaissance still lifes, and modern photography. Their forms inspire sculptors, and their colors inspire painters. But perhaps their most significant artistic influence has been through their psychoactive properties. The role of psilocybin and other entheogenic mushrooms in shamanic practices likely influenced art and symbolism in cultures from Siberia to Mesoamerica. The geometric and flowing patterns people report seeing during psychedelic experiences may have influenced decorative arts, though proving direct connections between mushroom use and artistic styles is challenging and often speculative. The economics of truffle hunting involves trained dogs, secretive foragers, and volatile markets where a single kilogram of white truffles might sell for thousands of dollars. The truffles grow underground in specific forest conditions, making them nearly impossible to farm reliably. This scarcity, combined with their unique flavor, creates intense market value. However, truffle habitats are declining in some regions due to climate change and land use changes, raising concerns about future availability. The truffle trade operates partly in the shadows, with theft, deception, and disputes common in an industry where products are difficult to authenticate and extremely valuable. Ergot, a fungus that grows on rye and other grains, produces alkaloids including the precursor to LSD. Ergot poisoning from contaminated grain caused epidemics throughout history, producing symptoms including convulsions, hallucinations, and gangrene. The Salem witch trials have been hypothetically linked to ergot poisoning, though this theory is controversial. In controlled amounts, ergot alkaloids have medical uses for migraine treatment and stopping postpartum bleeding. This single fungus thus connects medieval epidemics, witch hunts, modern medicine, and 20th century counterculture, demonstrating how fungi thread through human history in unexpected ways. The shiitake mushroom, second only to button mushrooms in worldwide production, has been cultivated in Asia for over 1,000 years. Traditional cultivation involved inoculating oak logs with shiitake mycelium and allowing them to fruit naturally over several years. Modern cultivation uses sawdust blocks that fruit more quickly, increasing efficiency, but changing the mushroom's flavor and texture. The tension between traditional and modern methods reflects broader questions about food production. Do we optimize for efficiency and affordability, or for quality and tradition? Different cultures and producers answer this question differently. Mushroom spore prints, made by placing a mushroom cap on paper and allowing spores to drop, create beautiful patterns and are essential for identification. The color of spores, white, black, brown, pink, purple, is a key identifying characteristic. But spore prints are also art objects, particularly when made in quantity or on colored paper. The radial pattern of spores dropping from gills or pores creates mandala-like designs, and some artists deliberately create spore prints as artistic works. This intersection of science and art reflects how mushrooms occupy liminal spaces between categories, living and dead, plant-like and animal-like, beautiful and alien. The chicken of the woods mushroom, a bright orange shelf fungus that grows on trees, can taste remarkably similar to chicken when cooked. This and other mushrooms with meaty textures and savory flavors have become important in plant-based diets, providing satisfying alternatives to meat. The mushroom's texture comes from its dense mycelial structure, quite different from plant tissue or animal muscle, yet capable of filling similar culinary roles. As more people reduce meat consumption for environmental or ethical reasons, mushrooms' unique properties make them valuable, not as mere substitutes, but as ingredients with their own distinct qualities. Fungi's role in traditional medicine extends beyond Chinese traditions to include Ayurvedic medicine, Native American healing practices, and European folk medicine. Different cultures discovered different medicinal mushrooms based on local species, developing sophisticated understanding of their properties. Some of this knowledge has been validated by modern research. Some remains unexamined, and some has been disproven. The challenge is separating genuine medicinal effects from placebo effects and cultural beliefs, without dismissing traditional knowledge that might contain valuable insights modern medicine hasn't yet recognized. The concept of fungal intelligence or cognition is controversial, but increasingly discussed. Fungi don't have brains or nervous systems, yet they demonstrate problem-solving behavior, memory-like phenomena, and information processing. Mycelial networks can find the most efficient paths through mazes, can remember locations of food sources, and can adapt their growth patterns based on past experiences. Whether this constitutes intelligence depends on how we define intelligence. If we require consciousness and intentionality, fungi clearly aren't intelligent. But if we focus on information processing and adaptive behavior, fungi demonstrate remarkable cognitive-like abilities using cellular mechanisms very different from neurons. The death of trees from fungal diseases can reshape entire ecosystems. Chestnut blight eliminated the American chestnut as a dominant forest tree in the early 20th century, fundamentally changing eastern North American forests. Dutch elm disease devastated elm populations. White pine blister rust affects 5-needle pines. These diseases, often introduced accidentally from other regions where native trees have evolved resistance, demonstrate how fungi can be agents of massive ecological change. Efforts to breed resistant trees or develop biological controls have had mixed success, and the diseases continue affecting forests decades after their introduction. Mushroom cultivation has expanded dramatically in recent decades, with China producing over 70% of cultivated mushrooms worldwide. Industrial cultivation can produce enormous quantities efficiently, making mushrooms affordable year-round. But this industrialization raises questions about quality, sustainability, and the loss of traditional knowledge. Small-scale cultivation using organic methods produces different results than industrial operations, and wild mushrooms remain distinct from cultivated ones in flavor and texture. The mushroom market thus spans from industrial commodity production to artisanal specialty products, serving different needs and values. The phenomenon of mycophobia, fear or distrust of mushrooms, is stronger in some cultures than others. Anglo-American cultures historically have been relatively mycophobic compared to Eastern European, Asian, and Mediterranean cultures with rich mushroom foraging traditions. This cultural difference affects cuisine, knowledge transmission, and relationship with forests and ecosystems. Mycophobia may stem from legitimate concerns about poisoning, but it also represents missed opportunities for nutrition, connection to nature, and ecosystem understanding. Recent decades have seen declining mycophobia in English-speaking countries as mushroom varieties expand in markets and foraging gains popularity. The smell of mushrooms ranges from delightful to revolting, and these scents serve various ecological purposes. Some mushrooms smell fruity or anise-like, attracting animals that disperse spores. Others smell like rotting meat, attracting flies that pollinate or disperse spores. Stinkhorn mushrooms are particularly notorious, producing odors so foul that they can be detected from considerable distances. The scent comes from gleba, a slimy spore mass that smells like carrion or feces, perfectly mimicking the odors that attract flies and beetles. These insects land on the gleba. Spores stick to their bodies, and they carry them elsewhere. The strategy is effective, if unpleasant to human noses encountering these mushrooms in the wild. The study of fungal ecology requires understanding interactions at multiple scales, from the molecular signaling between fungal and plant cells to the structure of mycelial networks across forest floors, to the role of fungi in global nutrient cycling. Each scale reveals different aspects of fungal life and different challenges for researchers. Studying mycelial networks underground requires careful excavation or sophisticated imaging techniques. Understanding chemical communication requires biochemical analysis. Assessing fungal roles in ecosystems requires long-term ecological monitoring. The complexity of fungal ecology means that despite increasing research, vast aspects remain poorly understood or completely unknown. Mushrooms preserve poorly without special treatment. Fresh mushrooms spoil quickly as they continue metabolizing after harvest and are attacked by bacteria and other fungi. Drying preserves them by removing water, concentrating flavors, and creating products that last months or years. Freezing works for some species but changes texture. Pickling and canning are other preservation methods with long traditions. Each preservation method affects flavor and texture differently, and some mushrooms preserve better than others. The difficulty of preservation historically limited mushroom consumption to fresh harvest seasons or preserved forms, though modern refrigeration and global trade have made fresh mushrooms available year-round in many places. The role of fungi in whiskey and beer production extends beyond yeast fermentation. Some traditional brewing methods involve koji molds or other fungi in initial fermentation stages. The flavors developed during fungal fermentation contribute to the final product's complexity. Distillers and brewers carefully maintain specific fungal and yeast strains, sometimes for generations, treating them as valuable proprietary resources. The relationship between humans and fermentation fungi is ancient, predating written history, representing some of humanity's earliest biotechnology, using living organisms to transform food and drink. Mushrooms appear in religious and spiritual contexts across cultures. The Eleusinian mysteries of ancient Greece may have involved psychoactive fungi, though evidence is circumstantial. Vedic texts describe soma, a sacred drink that might have been prepared from psychoactive mushrooms, though the plant's identity is debated. Indigenous American cultures used psilocybin mushrooms in religious ceremonies, practices suppressed by colonial authorities but surviving in some communities. In these contexts, mushrooms serve as sacraments, tools for spiritual experience, bridges between ordinary consciousness and transcendent states. The experiences they produce, ego dissolution, mystical union, encounters with the numinous, are interpreted through cultural and religious frameworks. The citizen science movement has engaged amateur mycologists in data collection about fungal distribution and fruiting patterns. Apps and websites allow people to photograph mushrooms, submit observations, and contribute to scientific understanding of fungal ecology. This distributed observation network provides data at scales impossible for professional researchers alone, though it requires careful validation to ensure accuracy. The movement represents democratization of scientific knowledge, making mycology accessible to anyone with curiosity and a camera, while contributing genuinely useful data to scientific understanding. Mushrooms demonstrate remarkable resilience to radiation. After the Chernobyl disaster, fungi were among the first organisms to recolonize highly radioactive areas. Some fungi appear to use melanin to harvest energy from radiation, similar to how plants use chlorophyll to harvest energy from light. This process, called radiosynthesis, isn't fully understood, but suggests fungi have biochemical capabilities we're only beginning to recognize. The fungi growing on the ruins of Chernobyl's reactor building represent life persisting in conditions lethal to most organisms. Adaptation to extreme environments that expands our understanding of life's possibilities. The texture and flavor of mushrooms in cooking develop through various chemical reactions. The umami compounds intensify with drying and roasting. The water content decreases during cooking, concentrating flavors. Maillard reactions between proteins and sugars create new flavor compounds. The cellular structure breaks down, releasing intracellular contents and changing texture. Understanding these chemical and physical changes helps cooks use mushrooms effectively, whether seeking meaty texture, intense flavor, or delicate complement to other ingredients. The science of cooking mushrooms is complex, involving chemistry, physics, and biology, all in service of flavor and satisfaction. The concept of the Wood Wide Web has captured public imagination, but scientists debate its implications. Does nutrient transfer through mycorrhizal networks primarily benefit the fungi, with incidental benefits to plants? Or do plants actively cooperate through these networks? Do trees recognize kin through fungal connections and preferentially share resources? Research continues, with some studies supporting cooperative interpretation and others suggesting the relationship is more complex and sometimes competitive. The metaphor of the internet connecting trees is compelling, but may oversimplify relationships that are simultaneously cooperative, competitive, and mutualistic depending on context and conditions. Mushroom hunting requires attention to detail, patience, and acceptance of uncertainty. Some days the forest offers abundance. Other days yield nothing despite similar conditions. Weather patterns weeks earlier affect current fruiting. Seasonal timing shifts year to year. Successful mushroom hunters develop intuition through experience, learning to read landscapes and conditions. But even experts have unsuccessful hunts. This unpredictability is part of the appeal for many foragers. Mushroom hunting is never routine, never fully mastered, always offering new discoveries or frustrating absences. It's a practice that requires humility and acceptance of nature's independence from human wishes. The role of fungi in soil formation is fundamental but often overlooked. Fungal hyphae physically bind soil particles together, creating structure that reduces erosion and increases water retention. Fungal decomposition of organic matter creates humus, improving soil fertility. Mycorrhizal networks help plants access nutrients, increasing plant growth and therefore organic matter return to soil. Without fungi, soils would be poorer, less stable, less able to support plant life. The health of soil ecosystems depends intimately on fungal communities, making fungi essential to terrestrial life's foundation. Mushrooms in permaculture and regenerative agriculture are gaining attention as tools for building soil health, processing agricultural waste, and producing food with minimal inputs. Mushroom cultivation can transform wood chips, straw, and other cellulose-rich waste into food while improving soil. Integrating mushroom cultivation with other agricultural practices creates closed-loop systems where waste from one process feeds another. These approaches draw on traditional practices while incorporating modern understanding of fungal ecology, attempting to work with natural processes rather than against them. The emotional and aesthetic response to mushrooms, whether fascination, revulsion, or wonder, reflects their liminal nature. They emerge from decay, thriving on death, yet producing beautiful forms. They appear suddenly in damp, dark places, seeming spontaneous. They can nourish or kill, heal, or harm. They challenge categories, existing between plant and animal, between life and decomposition. This betweenness makes mushrooms uncanny, familiar yet strange, attracting attention across cultures and throughout history. The future of mycology holds promise for addressing contemporary challenges. Fungi might help remediate polluted environments, replace unsustainable materials, produce pharmaceuticals, improve agriculture, and deepen our understanding of forest ecology and climate systems. But realizing this potential requires more research, more funding, more attention to a kingdom of life that's been relatively neglected compared to plants and animals. The recent surge of interest in fungi, scientific, culinary, medicinal, cultural, suggests a shift toward recognizing their importance. The question of fungal consciousness or experience is philosophical rather than scientific, but it's worth contemplating. Do fungi experience anything subjectively? Is there something it's like to be a mushroom, to be a mycelial network? We have no way to know, but the question reminds us that consciousness and experience might be distributed more widely across life than we typically assume. Even if fungi don't have experiences in any way comparable to human consciousness, they process information, respond to their environments, and persist through time with something resembling purpose, even if that purpose is purely mechanical. This mystery at the heart of life, the boundary between mechanism and experience, remains unresolved. The practice of foraging mushrooms connects people to places in intimate ways. Regular foragers develop detailed knowledge of specific locations, which trees host which species, how weather affects fruiting, when and where to look. This knowledge is embodied, learned through repeated experience rather than books. It creates relationship with landscape based on reciprocity. The forest provides mushrooms. The forager takes carefully, returns spores to the soil, tends the forest's health. This reciprocal relationship, practiced sustainably, represents a model for human-nature interaction that respects ecological limits while meeting human needs. Mushroom festivals and forays bring together mycologists, foragers, chefs, and enthusiasts to share knowledge, identify specimens, and celebrate fungi. These gatherings range from scientific conferences to informal local walks, creating communities united by mycological interest. They serve educational purposes, teaching identification and ecology, but also social purposes, connecting people across backgrounds through shared fascination with fungi. The proliferation of such events reflects growing public interest in mycology and increasing recognition of fungi's importance. The use of mushrooms in psychedelic-assisted therapy represents convergence of ancient practice and modern medicine. Clinical trials have shown that psilocybin, combined with psychotherapy, can produce lasting improvements in treatment-resistant depression, anxiety and terminal illness, and addiction. The mechanisms aren't fully understood but appear to involve both neurological effects, changes in brain connectivity and neuroplasticity, and psychological effects, meaningful experiences that provide new perspectives and reduce psychological rigidity. This research vindicates traditional uses while subjecting them to scientific scrutiny, attempting to maximize benefits while minimizing risks. The decomposition of a fallen tree by fungi occurs over years or decades, gradually transforming solid wood into soil. This process supports entire communities of organisms, insects, small mammals, amphibians, plants, that depend on decaying wood. The fungi involved change as decomposition progresses, with different species specializing in different stages and different wood components. A single fallen log hosts a succession of fungal species over its decomposition, each preparing the substrate for the next. eventually returning the tree's complex molecules to simple forms that new life can use. This cycle continues endlessly. Death feeding life feeding death, with fungi facilitating each transformation. The cultivation of mushrooms at home has become increasingly popular, with kits available for growing oyster mushrooms, shiitake, and other species on coffee grounds, straw, or wood chips. These small-scale cultivation projects offer hands-on experience with fungal biology, demonstrating how mushrooms grow and how cultivation methods affect results. They also provide fresh, flavorful mushrooms, while reducing waste by transforming materials that might otherwise be discarded. Home cultivation connects people to food production, demystifying mushrooms and making mycology accessible. The relationship between humans and fungi is evolving. We're moving from ignorance and fear toward understanding and appreciation, recognizing fungi as essential ecological actors, sources of food and medicine, potential solutions to environmental problems, and worthy subjects of scientific and philosophical inquiry. This shift reflects broader changes in how we understand nature, not as a collection of resources to exploit, but as a network of relationships we're part of, relationships we depend on and must maintain for our own survival and flourishing. As you drift toward sleep tonight, carrying these facts about mushrooms with you, consider the vast fungal networks beneath forests, the decomposition transforming death to life, the ancient partnership between fungi and plants that enabled life to colonize land. Consider that every breath you take is possible because of oxygen, released by plants that depend on fungal partners. That the food you eat relies on soil built by fungal decomposition. That some of the most profound human experiences come from chemicals fungi produce. We live in relationship with fungi whether we recognize it or not, depending on them in countless ways. Sharing this planet with organisms whose ways of being differ profoundly from ours, yet interweave with human life at every scale. If you found value in this exploration of mushrooms and fungi, I hope you'll subscribe to join us for future journeys through the world's most fascinating subjects. We'll continue exploring with this same spirit of calm curiosity, creating space for wonder and contemplation, delving deep into topics that reveal the extraordinary complexity and beauty of the world we inhabit. For now, rest well. Let these thoughts about mushrooms settle into your mind. The mycelial networks, the sudden appearance of fruiting bodies, the decomposition and renewal, the ancient partnerships and modern discoveries, all the ways fungi thread through life on Earth, mostly invisible, yet absolutely essential. Sleep peacefully, knowing that beneath the ground, in fallen logs, on forest floors around the world, fungi are quietly performing the work that makes life possible, transforming what was into what will be, participating in cycles older than humanity, cycles that will continue long after we're gone. Good night.